Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to the local community. Visit them at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Hey, welcome to another edition of FLX Weekly here on Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. I'm Jim Sinicropi, live inside the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls. And it's almost Thanksgiving, which also means Christmas. Christmas season set to kick off here in the Finger Lakes. So many great events and festivals and things to do in the Finger Lakes for the Christmas season. Of course, one of them would be the Dickens Christmas in Skaneateles, celebrated every Saturday and Sunday from Thanksgiving through Christmas. Today I'll be joined by Her Majesty Queen Victoria, played by Maria DeMitchell, artistic director of the festival, and John Michael Decker, playing Ebenezer Scrooge. He's the associate director of Dickens Christmas, and we're going to talk all about this year's event as we prepare to kick off the 2024 holiday season. But first, this episode of FLX Weekly is brought to you by the Lux Hotel and Conference Center. The Lux Hotel and Conference Center is the next great location for your overnight stay, wedding, event, reception, meeting space, holiday party, and more. With on-site food and beverage at Woody's Bar and Grill, you'll find everything you're looking for in one spot. Contact them today to inquire about your next opportunity. And also, the Perfect Pair Eatery. Quality carry-out cuisine in Seneca Falls. Everything is made fresh with in-house smoked meats, comfort classics, desserts, and sweet treats, sure to please the entire family for lunch or dinner. Also offering business lunch drop-off on Monday or Tuesday. Reach out at perfectpaireatery.com or call 315-712-4004 and look for the yellow door at 64 West Baird Street right here in Seneca Falls. So welcome. Exciting, a new year of Dickens Christmas in Skaneateles, and I guess for those wondering what this is, who haven't been there before, maybe Her Majesty, you could please let us know a little bit of background on what the festival is and what people can expect.
I should be delighted to tell you, Jim. First of all, I do want to thank you so much for inviting me here. I have come to America with my husband, Prince Albert, and my two eldest daughters, Princess Vicky and Princess Alice, to observe a representative democracy in action. I'm so pleased to be here, and whilst we find ourselves in this quaint village, Skaneateles, we find there is so much to do every weekend day between your holiday of Thanksgiving, between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. So I'm told that there are carriage rides one might enjoy on Sundays. There are free roasted chestnuts as long as the supplies last. There is Christmas caroling at the gazebo, which is a surprise for me, at 2 o'clock. And there are revelers and celebrants all about. Father Christmas is there. There are shows daily in the library, and there are Merry Christmas carolers, I believe I did say. There are townspeople of Skaneateles. The year is 1842, and Mr. Dickens is visiting this region. It is prior to his writing of A Christmas Carol, and the idea is that he sees things that spontaneously allow him to create that story, of which he does a trunk show in the library at 3 o'clock telling the story of A Christmas Carol.
So, also joined here by Ebenezer Scrooge, and I can't imagine that you're too pleased with all the revelry surrounding the holiday season. What's your take on it?
No, it is dreadful, Jim. It is just terrible. People are happy. They're filled with the Christmas spirit, and they're singing and reveling, and it is just the worst time of the year. I cannot abide it. Humbug.
And so many people come, it's probably, so many people come from out of town as well.
They do. Fortunately, there are many people about who have not paid their bills or their rent, and I have the privilege of evicting them. Yes.
So this has been going on for, a long time, probably much to your chagrin, but tell us a little bit about the history of Dickens Christmas.
Certainly, Jim. So the history is years and years before, perhaps as many as 30, the merchants struggled in Skaneateles in the holiday, in the cold season. Nobody came there. And there was one particular merchant, a lady named Karen Foltz. She had a store called the Pomodoro, and she had been living prior in a place in America called Minneapolis. And she saw some sort of Dickens festival. And so she had the idea of doing such a thing there in Skaneateles. So initially, they had the merchants put it together, and now it's supported by merchants, but it's through the Chamber of Commerce, and it has grown and grown and grown. It is. I'm trying to think of what it is I'm trying to say. So every year we make top 10 lists of things to do for Christmas, day trips, such as national newspapers in Philadelphia or in New Jersey or New York City. And they encourage people to come and to stay overnight. There are bus tours that come. Many people say to us that it does not feel like their Christmas until they've been to a Dickens celebration.
Well, I've attended, and it is it's fabulous, fantastic, and certainly Skaneateles has had success throughout the summertime. What a great place to go in the summer, spring and fall, but in December too, to have this great festival. Certainly, Mr. Scrooge, you can appreciate the commerce and the economic implications for Skaneateles.
Yes, well, the counting house of Scrooge and Marley is doing quite well. That is because many people do not read the fine print.
So, having experienced this before, does it do a little bit to melt your heart to see the positive vibes and the Christmas spirit?
I like to think that I don't have a heart as much as an icicle jammed in the left side of my chest. If I could work my will, any idiot who went around with Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through their hearts. Humbug. Bah.
So, congratulations on the as artistic director. Clearly, the costumes and decorations are authentic. It's not something that's just thrown together. It's really high level. How is there other people involved in making this world of Dickens come alive in Skaneateles?
Yes, let me talk about that in my capacity as artistic director.
Okay, so break character.
I will. So my name is Maria, and I am the artistic director. And we hold auditions in October, and then we begin rehearsals. Typically, we rehearse for 3 weekends in November prior to the beginning of the show. Our cast, prior to COVID, the cast was 70 plus. And then because of COVID, we didn't do it that first year because of the
so there was no festival that year.
There was a video. We had a video component. We did do some
I
rehearse
remember
things,
that. Yep.
things like that. We did shopkeeper showcases. And then when we came back, our cast was about 25 people. And since then, so that would be 2021, we have about 60 people this year. And our cast, they're anywhere from 9 years old to in their 70s. And that's one of my favorite things about the cast is that it's multi-generational.
Yeah, a lot of kids are dressed in the authentic attire, I suppose.
Yes,
of the era.
we have little girls that play finishing school girls, or we have little young ones that are pickpocket sorts. It's a great experience for everybody who participates.
Yeah, and as an attendee, you're kind of dropped into this world, from the mid 1800s. It's and Christmas, of course, has been around for. it feels like you're celebrating Christmas in the 1800s when you're there. Of course, there's some modern amenities, plentiful food and drink, and all sorts of some audio visual components that make some of the performances easier to hear than they may have been in the 1850s. But it's a very authentic job that you've done in creating this world.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you saying that. It's something that I enjoy. You know, I perceive that the purpose of Dickens is, especially at this time in history in America, we try to evoke the nostalgia of a time past where people focus on kindness and good manners. That's our intention.
And you get that feeling when interacting with everybody involved, that is in character. It's really something unique and cool. And as associate director, what type of challenges, or has it become easier now? Just plug and play, or are there challenges to pulling this thing off?
Yes, to answer that, let me fetch John Michael Decker. Just
Okay.
here.
Come here. Hey, we'd like to welcome
Hello,
John Michael
hi.
Decker to the show.
Yes. I mean, the challenge every year, we have a cast we have little kids, like we have a little kid playing Tiny Tim, to some, older folks who've retired and kind of do this, and all kinds of different experiences and levels of performing. And the challenge is to kind of get them together and run them through some improvisational drills so we're all on the same page. But it's really a great cast. And boy, the voices sound incredible this year. I was listening to them practicing the carols.
And they're showing up every weekend.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's quite a commitment to do it, but I assume that those that do it and come back really look forward to it.
They do. They do.
Meeting a lot of people from, as you mentioned, across the Northeast U.S. as well as the surrounding area.
Yeah, we've ended up in photo albums around the country.
So, if people want to learn more, the calendar of events is on the website. What's the
Chamber of Commerce.
The Chamber-
Skaneateles, chamberofcommerce.com.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So you can search Skaneateles Chamber in Google and the full schedule of events. But what can people expect? Is it the same as Paul has it up there right now too? Is it is every weekend the same, or are there special weekends with special events?
Mostly it's the same. So each day begins at noon for us. So the performers are on the street from 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, there's an opening down at the Hannum House where the cast gathers up and they welcome the dignitaries. So that's Mr. Dickens, and we have a Washington Irving character. We have we're welcomed by the local dignitaries. There's Mayor Fezziwig and his wife and their beautiful daughter. Father Christmas is introduced. I'm introduced with my husband and my 2 daughters. And we sort of lay out what the schedule is and what people can do. The sing happening at 2 o'clock at the gazebo, weather permitting. Father Christmas on the steps of the Masonic Temple for being visited by children. Mother Goose reads children's stories in the library. And then other than that, the characters disperse and we just interact with guests as we come across them. So you might see a collection of young people who are pickpockets, like they call themselves the Skaneateles Pocket Cleaning Company. And part of rehearsal is teaching them how to interact with people as interactive theater artists, because that's what we're doing. Yeah. There's some confusion. We're not live action role players. John and I train them in techniques, in improvisational techniques, and in interactive theater. So that's what this job is.
Yeah, that is an important distinction to make, because you're not out there playing a game so much as you're acting out a script to something, but being that it's the nature of live on the street over a long period of time, you really have to immerse yourself in the character, and who knows what type of interaction you're going to have from person to person.
Correct.
So I imagine that some people are better than that at others, but yeah, I can tell you that when I've gone, it was just kind of neat, very authentic and believable, and so as you bounce in to grab maybe lunch at one of the great restaurants in Skaneateles, or hop around to the different shops, you're just also it's like half modern and half 1842. It's
That's
like
right,
so. It is definitely something that's unique, and if you haven't gone, I really suggest you. I mean, and the fact that it's not just one weekend, but every weekend from Thanksgiving to Christmas, you can certainly find time in your schedule to make the drive and see it for yourself. But also Christmas Eve, right, which is a Tuesday this year. Is there anything that's the closing day every year. Is there anything different that would compel someone to come on Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve has its own flavors. So often it's more local people that are there because they've returned home for the holidays. We only are on the street from 12 to 3 that day. So we finish with the Christmas, the sing at 2. And, there's a certain sentimentality to it. There's also, that's when Scrooge has his redemption. So we'll see Ebenezer go through his transformation.
Okay, so yeah, as the story goes, but throughout the festival, you
Throughout
have a cold, dead heart, no love for Christmas, but then Christmas Eve.
Yes, you see the redemption, you see the change Scrooge, which is really fun to play every year after playing Grumpy Pants.
Everybody else is happy. You got, here in Seneca Falls, we have It's a Wonderful Life Festival. It's just a weekend, a huge weekend, and there's the role of Potter. Is probably can be compared to the role of Scrooge. So everybody's so happy and in a good mood, and you got to be miserable and mean, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much work goes into maintaining, like these costumes are incredible. Is it something that they just get storage and pull them out? Or are you constantly improving and trying to and making new as the crew grows in different sizes of kids and actors? Like, how does that get managed?
We have an incredible costumer. Over the 30 or so years this has been going, we've amassed tons of different costumes. Tracy, who's the head costumer, is really brilliant at finding stuff at secondhand shops. And, we recycle things. So like, it's fun to see as the actors grow up, to see like a little dress getting recycled from one actress to another as they grow out of and grow into the costumes. But we do put them in storage for the year.
Is there any cooperation with like local community players groups or the school, the high school?
Yes, there is. I mean, we try to cull our talent for the young people from local schools, local children. And let's see, if I think about it, we have representatives, Skaneateles schools this year, Marcellus schools, and Rowan is from downstate, like more closer to Binghamton. And I want to say we've had Jordan Elbridge, Weedsport in the mix at times. It really just depends on who shows up.
Okay.
But we love having young people. That's one of the great joys, is seeing the holidays through their eyes. And they have such a great time doing Dickens. We spend a lot of time with each other laughing. We really work. The focus is also on building ensemble, because that's how you can do your interactive theater work, by having this really great supportive ensemble.
So is there rehearsals? Like in October is the audition. So between October and the Friday after Thanksgiving,
We usually weekends in November, we get together to rehearse, and we play bonding games and practice the songs and do improvisational exercises, and we really do get very close as a cast, and we keep in touch. Like I'm from the Saratoga area, so
okay.
I'm not local to here, but
But you're local now?
well,
Or do
I'm
you
local. I stay here November and December.
Okay, I got you. So, okay.
Yeah.
30 years of Dickens Christmas in Skaneateles. that's pretty impressive. Not many things last 30 years, and of course, this appears to be ready to go for another 30 years and beyond. Is there anything, put you on the spot here a little bit, any real memorable moments that stand out over those 30 years that you'd like to share?
Sure. Well, just to be clear, I haven't been participating in Dickens for 30 years. My participation's been more like 25.
Well, close enough.
Yeah, close. Sometimes people want to get engaged at Dickens.
Oh, wow,
and
yeah.
That can be really moving when, especially at the Sing, they'll prearrange it and to see the soon-to-be betrothed, the dawning realization.
surprise, right?
And it is.
Yeah.
It's so moving.
Yeah, what a great place to do that. Anything stand out to you in terms of memories?
There's lots of things. Often, what stands out to me is some of the little interactions. Like I'm playing Scrooge, and Scrooge is a grumpy character, but there are ways to do that so he's approachable.
Yeah.
And so, especially interactions, kids are fascinated by.
Do you ever, any kids ever get scared, start crying? It's got to be, right?
I mean, it happens occasionally, but often, and I can dial down the grumpy. If there's a little kid who looks a little nervous, I
Yeah.
can dial down the grumpiness a little. And I might have an interaction where I'll talk to a child and I'll say, "So I hear you like Christmas," and they'll,
Yeah, right.
yes, and I'll say, "Well, why?" And then they'll explain to me why they like Christmas and try to convince me that it's a good thing. But I think people remember those little, really personal interactions.
Sure.
And they they'll come back. There are people who come and like, I have to get my picture with Scrooge. I do this every year. It's, but yeah, I'd say the little interactions are the most memorable to me.
So with a lot of Christmas festivals, the arrival of Santa Claus is usually a big day. How is that integrated? Father Christmas, I would assume, not Saint
Yes.
Nick or Santa Claus. How is that character kind of integrated into the festival?
Well, we have a class of characters that we refer to as the imponderables, and that's going to be characters that aren't strictly mortal, in the sense that there's Father Christmas, there's Mother Goose, there's the Ghost of Christmas Present,
Oh,
and
yeah,
the
that's right.
Ghost of Christmas Past, and there's Jacob Marley. Sometimes we have a Christmas fairy too, but I don't believe we currently have one. So we accept that the imponderables are part of our world, and we just play with them like as if they were any other character to play with. Father Christmas comes in at the beginning at noon and makes his presence known, and then he's also at the Sing at 2:00. So that's the only time a young person can go and have audience with Father
And
Christmas.
what version? Like, what does he look like? What's his costume
Oh, he
like?
looks classic.
Yeah, he's a real beard,
there
Father
you go.
Christmas.
Yep.
And just played by just the loveliest, gentlest man. And he's most of the day he'll be set up at the Masonic temple on the porch. And usually when I walk by, there's a real long line of kids that are coming to see him. And I think he's worked at the festival longer than either of us.
I think the 30 years.
He may have been here the whole 30 years. And he's a fantastic Father Christmas. He's just very classical, very old school, like the very Victorian idea of Santa Claus.
Yeah, and that's in a lot of ways more believable than
Yeah.
a lot of the Santa Clauses you see at the malls or,
Right.
whatever it may be, a more authentic version. So, yeah, once again, Dickens Christmas in Skaneateles. It's become a holiday tradition, kicking off the Thursday after Thanksgiving from noon to 4 p.m. and then continuing every weekend through Christmas, 12 to 4, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then Christmas Eve, if you're able to integrate that into your Christmas Eve celebration, that would be a little bit, more to it than the average days. It'll be something special, I think, to do if you're able to do it. I want to thank you guys for coming in and showing everybody a sneak preview of what they could expect on the streets of Skaneateles if they come out to this year's festival. And it's been a great summer and fall here in the Finger Lakes, but it's Christmas time. Hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving, and appreciate you guys coming in. And we'll see you. I'll definitely be out one of these days over the next several weekends.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much,
It's been
Jim.
a pleasure.
Really a pleasure.
So once again, that's Dickens Christmas in Skaneateles. More information on the Skaneateles Chamber website. Free to attend. You just show up. There's no ticket sales. Plenty of parking. I know that parking used to be an issue in Skaneateles. Haven't had a problem parking in Skaneateles for the past multiple years. So you can bring your family. And again, just show up and enjoy all the merchants and restaurants and festivities, all in the spirit of Dickens. Be transported back to 1842, and just a really unique thing. So I highly recommend it. So thanks everybody for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, click like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next week with Catherine Chase from the Cuba Lake Wine Trail for our November edition of Wine Wednesday. Until then, have a great weekend here in the Finger Lakes.